Guinea pig taming can seem like a daunting process, especially when you've just brought your new piggies home and they are literally terrified of you. But the same goes if you have older, scared piggies who you'd like to become more tame and confident. That's why these 6 do's and don'ts of guinea pig taming are super important to know. And first up is do let them settle in and remember they've gone through a lot. Nacho is here. So imagine you're a guinea pig just brought into your new home, a completely different world from the pet shop or the rescue where you came from. A new cage, new surroundings, and new people. It's gonna feel pretty scary and you'll probably just want to hide away and recover. So just know that it's absolutely normal for our piggies to be like this at the start. What you should do is try to give them space and time to settle in peace for those first 2 to 3 days. So if they're inside, put the cage in a quiet room away from other pets and young children and loud noises. It can help to drape a fleece or blanket over the cage as well to make them feel less exposed. However, you don't want to ignore them completely. I get a lot of confused messages from people saying they've been told to leave their new piggies alone, but don't neglect things like cleaning the cage, changing the water, speaking of water, and topping up hay and those pellets. Also, it's important to check our new piggies can actually access their food and water as well. It sounds silly, but they're probably tucked away in a hidey house and really reluctant to come out. So put some hay in there for them and scatter pellets on the ground nearby. And if they're not drinking or you're worried about them not drinking, you can offer them a lettuce leaf or a few slices of cucumber inside their hidey with them. You'll probably find that it's been nibbled at some point during the night, which is a good sign. Number 2 is do give your piggies companionship of their own species. So think back to being that guinea pig brought into a new home and how much worse you would feel if you were all alone. Guinea pigs are social animals and they thrive in the company of others. This also affects how they interact with us. A happier piggy living with friends is going to be more confident around us, and also younger or more timid piggies will learn from their more experienced cage mates that the humans are not to be feared. However, don't forget that all piggies are different. Some are just naturally more scared and shy, and there's nothing wrong with that. They can still become tame, it will just take longer and a bit more learning on your part what they're wary of when it comes to interacting with them and what they are more comfortable with. So next up, some practical tips. And first, do talk to your piggies. And no, you're not turning into a crazy guinea pig person by doing this, although I would recommend it, it's pretty awesome. Instead, you are helping them learn and get used to the sound of your voice. Piggies rely on their hearing, smell, and touch much more than their sight. For example, by announcing your presence when you enter their room, they'll know it's you and what to expect. And eventually, your guinea pigs will recognize your tone of voice, so you can help them relax by talking softly or get them excited by talking quickly or in a high-pitched voice.
What's happening? Hi! Hello! Hello! Hello!
And I know I said sight isn't as critical for our piggies, but it is still important. So as prey animals, they have a wide field of vision and they're adapted to keep an eye out for predators coming from any direction. So our next don't is don't be a predator. I'm sure you don't intend to be, but try not to hover over them like a bird of prey waiting to strike, and avoid doing sudden movements which might be interpreted as a predator lunging out towards them. Instead, always approach them slowly from the side where they can easily see you and whilst talking to them. Work on getting close enough to let them sniff your hand, even if they run away afterwards, that's fine, and they'll start to realise you're not a threat. At number 4, we have do hand feed your piggies. So in case you didn't realise, guinea pigs are pretty obsessed with food, which is a good job as they need to eat a lot of it to keep their system going and to live up to their name of piggy. This means most guinea pigs are highly food motivated, and we should always incorporate food to enhance our taming techniques. Fresh lettuces, leafy herbs and grass tend to work best with even the most timid piggies who might be funny around other veggies. Start by hand feeding them in the cage, cage, offering small pieces at a time so they quickly have to look to you as the provider to give them more. Talk to them at the same time to build an association with your voice. Hand feeding is such a great taming tool and can apply to outside of the cage as well, plus you don't have to spend long doing it to reinforce it. Just make sure it's often. A few minutes every day is enough to start seeing a difference.
Absolute chaos. Absolute chaos. Apparently it's too chaotic to hand feed these lot, especially when it comes to grass.
Our fourth don't is don't rush into handling your guinea pigs. It's not that essential in the beginning, though I do encourage it later on, and it can be detrimental to their progress if you start too soon. So rather than trying to pick them up straight away, start with approaching them with your hand in the cage, hand feeding them and building up to stroking them in the cage. And yes, most will run away at this point, but that's okay, just keep working on it. You might find that you're able to stroke them when they're in a certain area of the cage, usually when there's no obvious escape routes for them. Stroke their head, the back of their neck and their nose. Most will learn to enjoy it. They won't enjoy it though if you touch them without them fully realizing that you're there, or stroking too far down their back or on their sides. Next up, do take notice of their behaviours towards you and do some research on what they could mean. So a common one in the beginning is called the unresponsive prey reflex, where our piggies sort of freeze up on taking them out of the cage for lap time. They won't relax, they might do that vibrating on and off thing, but they won't do much else. And this is because it's a response to thinking that they might be in danger. So when they start to get braver, they might get a bit more lively and might even start to nibble your fingers, which can be alarming to some owners, but they are not trying to bite you. They're just getting brave enough to start trying to communicate with you, and usually, in the case of nibbling, tell you that they're ready to go back in the cage. And when you do return them to the cage, lower them in, wrapped in a blanket or backwards, as some skittish piggies will see the cage and try to jump out of their owner's hands, and they can hurt themselves that way. Our next don't is one for the cage, and it's don't inadvertently encourage hiding. Guinea pigs are naturally drawn to the darkest and most enclosed hideys where they can make themselves invisible, but that can make them nervous to come out and explore the rest of the cage. So with my own cage, I try to opt for more open hideys or ones with multiple entrances. Cuddle cups or semi-covered fleece beds, wooden or fabric tunnels, and hammocks or other platform-like shelters are all good examples which still let us see and interact with our piggies while still giving them a cozy place to relax. Next up, do develop a routine. So taming our guinea pigs takes time, and I'm talking like months and years and just continuing on after that. And it's very similar to building up a set of habits, which become easier the more you repeat them. So to start with, you might make a list or a schedule for daily taming tasks, like spending time chatting with them every morning, hand feeding when you get back from school or work, and when you're ready, building up to a bit of floor time and lap time. Try to stick to the routine and let those activities become part of your normal day. And you'll find that they will become very rewarding once your guinea pigs start to trust you. Our final don't is possibly the most important one of all, and it's don't give up. So in my experience, even the most skittish of piggies will eventually become tame. Yes, they might always have certain behaviours that won't budge, like the urge to run away when they're being picked up. That is a biggie, but that is just basically a strong prey animal response, an instinct that is really difficult for them to get over, and it absolutely does not mean that they hate you. So don't be disheartened, keep up the good work, continue to learn and be patient. We've covered a lot of the basics of taming when you're getting started, but if you're looking for more advice on how to pick up and handle your guinea pigs, a big part of which is building up your own confidence, then I'll pop this video here, and this one over here is for anyone who needs help with lap time and how best to make it work for taming young guinea pigs. As always everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was useful, and we will see you very soon in the next one. Bye bye!